So, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on where you're joining us from. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the good life and why well-being and self-care are a must for educators. Before we start, I would like to gain some insights and find out a little bit of what you think about self-care, and that you also find out what your thoughts are on the topic. So we will have 3 minutes for you to take the quiz from the link that was provided to you on that Google Doc. It is important that you answer as truthfully as you can. Do not take too long to answer the questions. Just answer the first thing that comes to mind when you see the choices. This will help us learn a little bit about self-care and then reflect at the end of this presentation. Okay, good. After these 3 minutes, just save your answers and we will get back to those answers afterwards. As we move throughout the webinar, I will ask you to keep in mind what you have responded and reflect about what changes or what remains the same after you hear to the information that we will share today. So why self-care? So Gonzalez states that it is usually really hard for educators to practice self-care. Why? Because we have a job that demands very long hours. We usually stay after class or we take work home. There is an excess of workload and it's viewed by educators as part of natural life. This is something normal. So educators are expected to have these workloads and this excess of things to do. That being a good teacher and taking care of yourself do not go hand in hand. That's a notion and a myth that educators have. And that there is always some other time for self-care. That we're always putting off things related to taking care of ourselves. And it is very hard to say no to responsibilities. So someone asks us to do something, we say, yes, I'm going to do that. Someone adds another thing, we say, yes. We never say no. So that's part of the main reasons why educators usually have a hard time practicing self-care and they forget about the things that they have to do in order to take care of themselves. So self-care is different based on people. It is also different based on your context, where you live, the country, the region, the type of educator that you are, the type of family that you have. It will always vary, but it includes several things that have to do with your physical condition, whether you are fit or not, whether you exercise or not. It also has to do of how aware you are of the need of taking care of yourself. It has to do with being kind to yourself and also to others, expressing these feelings of kindness and amicability. It also has to do with the choices you make. If you decide to work during your work hours and take work home, or you decide to only work during your work hours and relax during the weekends and the afternoons, for example. It also has to do with paying attention, listening to your body, listening to the changes that are happening in your mind and in the way that you're interacting. It also is necessary to think about it as how you establish priorities. Which are the things that go first? Which are the things that I need to take care of first before embarking in something very stressful or in a huge workload? How am I prioritizing what I'm going to do for my personal entertainment or my personal care, and how do I prioritize all those obligations that I have at work? It also has to do with curiosity and exploration. So maybe you're not used to meditating, but you decide that this would be a good way of self-care. So you explore that and then you find out whether it is your preferred way of taking care of yourself. It also has to do with your community, having a support system and a network of people that support you and that remind you that you need to take care of yourself. It is very important to have those people around you that allow you to take a breath, stop, and rethink what you're doing. It has to do with slowing down. So we are used to living in such a rush. society nowadays makes us think that everything has to move very quickly. So it has to do with slowing down, being mindful, sitting down, taking a break. And it also has to do with support. So you don't only support yourself, but you support that network and that community that I was talking about just recently, and making sense of what I need and when to ask and who to ask. It also has to do with pleasure, like I was saying, what entertains you, what makes you feel good, a cup of coffee, a book, walking, going for a marathon. So it has to do with your own personal pleasure. And it has to do with the acceptance of understanding that there are things that you need to make your life more caring and to make sure that you are feeling okay. And it is a myth to think that self-care is being selfish and not thinking about others or being self-indulgent. We cannot take care of others if we're not taking care of ourselves. So like Jennifer Louden says in this thought, we cannot nurture others from a dry well. So we need to make sure that our batteries and our energy are full in order to be able to help others with their own needs. You need to meet your own needs first, and then you can give in abundance to others. So your energy and your batteries have to be completely full in order to start helping others. But you cannot help others with an empty vessel of energy. So something important and that is entailed in self-care is the clarity that self-care is something permanent. And it is like taking care of a plant. The plant is there. It needs to be nurtured. It needs water. It needs sun. It needs uh, fertilizer to help it grow. It needs minerals. It needs all the essential vitamins for this plant to grow. That is self-care for people. It's also something that is permanent. You need to focus on your well-being. It means putting yourself first in order to serve others. So you need to meet your own needs and your own demands, and this will vary from person to person. And like I said, it's going to vary depending on the context where you are. So part of understanding self-care is that it does not necessarily, or it will not necessarily for you mean that you need to take a bath with salts and minerals, or that you need to eat chocolate, or that you need to exercise. This will vary depending on people, and educators will have different choices and will make different choices on what self-care looks like for them. So there are many ways in which educators around the world practice self-care. Some that I have researched from Sound Discipline, talk about making time to be with friends and family. So sharing with your friends and family are a way of self-care. Just relaxing and having fun. And relaxing can look like staying home and watching TV, or relaxing can look like reading a book, going to the library, uh, jogging. It's different for everyone. Have fun. You can have fun and relax by going to a movie, for example. So that will depend on the person. Also exercising, making that part of your regular schedule. That might not be self-care for other people. It might be a difficult obligation. But for some, exercising will be something that relaxes you, that allows you to create endorphins that make you happy. Connecting with others, not necessarily your friends and family, but maybe connecting with friends from other countries through the internet. That can be a way of self-care. Learning about their experiences or learning about other people's trips and planning your own trips for the future. Um, Making sure you store inspiration. Keep things that inspire you, that make you look it to the future with a positive attitude, envisioning something that is going to be good for you in the future. Practicing gratitude, saying thanks, and promoting gratitude with others. Looking at the silver lining in everything that happens and understanding that for everything that we have, we should be thankful, and anchoring yourself in something that makes you feel stable and that makes you feel relaxed and that leaves the stress out of the situation. And maybe creating a transition routine, like when you know you're becoming stressed, you do something that allows you to lower the stress and be able to move to the next task. And that can be breathing, that can be yoga, then that can be mindfulness. Like I said, all of these things vary, but in the end, self-care has to do with making a choice that you are building a life that you want to live and not a life that you want to escape from. As I have been researching about self-care, I have found many ways, but I found four steps that I consider and that I have practiced as being the most important things or ways in which to practice self-care. So first one is build rest. Make sure that you take breaks, that you are probably a very productive writer, a very productive planner as an educator, but there comes a point that you are writing 3 books, 4 articles, and that is too much. You need to make sure that you don't work until you drop, that instead you are able, yes, to have all this writing that satisfies you, but take a break in between. Do things that allow you to take that mind break, because sometimes you are not physically tired, but you are mentally tired. So make sure that you take a break in between all those productive times that you have, and make sure you space and face those activities and those tasks that you need to do. Step two would be having a schedule where we are doing fewer things. And this comes with prioritizing. It means that you cannot be just adding things to your schedule. You need to prioritize. From these 10 things that I have to do, which are the 4 that are most important and that I need to move forward with, and then leave the other 6 for the other days in your week or other times in your schedule of the month. So it is very important to prioritize and make sure that you eliminate things that are not priorities and that are not the best use of your time. The third step to self-care is to have habits that you are pairing with regular routines to make it automatic. Like, for example, pleasurable things as you are going to work, or pleasurable things before you start your workday at the office or in the classroom, or things that make you feel positive by noon or by the end of the day. So you are making sure that you are connecting something that you need to do that is part of your work with something that is pleasurable. So that way, cognitively, you are making an association of something positive with something that is part of your daily obligations. And that creates a more positive environment, and your brain thinks about things in a more positive way and not like a heavy workload or something heavy that you need to lift in your life. And then step number 4 is to focus on the habit of the habit. That means that you are going to be able to create new habits that are able to that you will be easily skipping because they are not well established. So you need to prioritize things that are good for your self-care and then leave those that are not good. An example of this would be if in the morning I wake up and I start complaining, I need to lose that habit and create a new habit of saying, so today is going to be a good day. I'm going to do things really well and everything is going to go okay. So you're changing the negative into a positive. And you make sure you do this regularly so it becomes a habit. And you're focusing on creating positive thoughts and positive ideas in your mind. And you can do that throughout the day. And as you move forward, you start creating habits of things that make your life more comfortable and not more difficult. So as I mentioned at the beginning, self-care takes different perspectives, different insights, different ways of doing it, depending on the person. And it takes planning. It requires that you dedicate yourself to this, and like I was saying before in step number 4, that you create a habit and that you substitute old habits with new habits, and that you are consistent on these new habits in order to make them part of your daily life and to make sure that self-care is part of your daily routine. And in order to do this, you need to plan it. And you need to plan it according to what you are interested in. So you also have ways in which you can plan. And I'm going to show you three different ways of planning. And these are as visual as you like, or as verbal or sentence like as you would prefer. So by looking at this example that we have here, if you notice, it's very visual. It has like, it's sort of like a mind map, and it has different clouds that talk about three important areas. In this case, this person is planning uh, to support his or her mind, his or her spirit, and his or her body. And she's doing it in different ways. When we look at the way that she's handling her self-care for her mind, she's saying taking breaks, which we mentioned, lifelong learning. So this is a person that wants to continuously learn and find things that are interesting for her or for him to learn. Listening to music, meditating, or having fun. And this will be different for every person. Then for the body, what am I going to do with my body? I'm going to eat nourishing foods. I'm going to have 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to do everything in moderation, nothing in excess. I'm going to make sure I exercise. And instead of coffee, I'm going to drink tea, for example. And then for your spirit, again, meditation. So some things overlap. Connect with other people. Make sure that I have time to self-reflect, to take a moment to myself and think about my day or think about what is going on in my life. And then fulfilling my life through different ways that I use the awesome skills that I have. And you notice here, they're making this really positive. My awesome skills, right? I am looking at the positive thing in me and recognize the good things that I do. And then if you notice to the sides, the two rectangles on the sides, they talk about people. Who is that community? Who is that network of people that is going to support me? So you can name the people. You can say my mom, my dad, and the people that you have in that support network that are going to help you with that process of self-care. And then on that rectangle on the right, we talk about what do I want to accomplish through all this spirit, mind, and body self-care that I'm going to go through. I want to be peaceful. I'm going to have serenity. I'm going to be in control of what I do. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do a good job, and I'm going to be a good person. So this is what a plan for somebody doing self-care looks like. Now, this is another way of doing your self plan. And if you notice, it has a similar structure, except that this one is like a Venn diagram. It has all those three circles. They don't overlap, but these are still a graph that shows independent circles that are acting in different areas, your mental, your physical, or your emotional self. Pretty similar to what we talked about in the other one about mind, body, and spirit. So mentally, I'm going to read, this person says, I'm going to learn, I'm going to be talking to my friend, I'm going to be taking my medicines daily. So it's taking care of your body through taking your meds. Maybe it's somebody that suffers from a depression and says, I need my meds. And that's, I'm speculating, right? But somebody maybe that needs their vitamins, or somebody that needs to have their blood pressure medicines or thyroid medicines. So that's how I'm going to keep my mental care okay by doing what is good for me medically, for example. And then physically, become active, eat healthy food, do skincare. And then somebody says, for my emotional side, I'm going to do hot baths, help others, and do art or create. So this is the way that this person is taking care of herself or himself. And then to the side, a reflection. Self-care is not indulgent. We cannot nurture others from I die well. And this was the original thought that I gave you at the beginning from Jennifer Lawrence. So having thoughts from other people, positive thoughts that make you understand that self-care is important and make you reflect positively, that's a good way of setting up your self-care plan. And then we have another thought to the right. A person who is humble would never be abusive or selfish. So don't abuse yourself or withhold self-love or self-care. So if you see having positive thoughts, getting ideas from others, that helps you and inspires you to do your own self-care. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a chance and I'm going to give you 20 minutes for this task in the break rooms. And you're going to have the first 10 minutes individually. And you can use this template that I'm providing here, or you can use your own template or choose the some of the templates that I show you, the two templates that I showed you before, to do your self-care plan. And the idea is that today you leave with something in mind on how you're going to take care of yourself. So you're going to go into the break rooms. You're going to have 5 minutes to come up with ideas that work with you personally, at the professional level, at the organizational level. And then you have here ideas, what supports and energizes me, who is involved, what is currently in place, what are you already doing, and what steps do I need to take in order to start now. Then you're going to have 5 minutes to create that plan in the order that you choose. This is just an example. The other two were examples. You can choose your own order. And then you're going to have 10 minutes to share with your group in the small groups that you are going to be. And then we're going to have a chance to share together. So first 5 minutes to share with your group and the last 5 minutes of this 20 minutes to share as a whole team. So enjoy the next 20 minutes. So I'm glad that you're back. And it it's very interesting everything you had to say, and I hope these exercises of planning for your own self-care are really useful. Now let's move on to talking about self-care and what you need to keep in mind as you are involved in self-care as an educator. First of all, self-care doesn't work in isolation. You can be doing things to help you with burnout, to help you to take care of yourself, to help you not be stressed about your workload. But if your environment is not propitious for your self-care, then it's not going to work. So you need to be able to influence your school environment and make sure that others are also being involved into self-care and that others understand the importance of educators' well-being and making sure that everything is working smoothly around them. So first we start with ourselves, but then we need to make sure that we are influencing those areas around us that might influence us negatively, because sometimes what is happening in the environment that we are in is what is really causing the stress, the depression, the feeling of discomfort, and not really the workload that we have or the things that we do are the ones provoking those negative situations. So we need to make sure that we understand, as we were talking at the beginning, that self-care has to do with community, that self-care has to do with support, that we also have to influence the people around us and the school community to be involved in well-being, because if not, nothing that we do will be long lasting or will be permanent as self-care needs to be. So we need to be able to influence our principal, we need to be able to influence our supervisors, administration, and have them understand the importance of teacher well-being and the importance of making sure that the school environment is propitious and it's working for everybody to be able to have times to take breaks, to have times to take care of themselves and to have time to reflect and meditate and be mindful, and also help your students, because sometimes situations from students can also cause you a great amount of stress and cause you to not be able to take care of yourself. So you need to make sure that you're influencing all those people and all that community that interacts daily with you. So there are many tips, and like I was telling you before, steps or things that you can do in order to be able to take care of yourself and invest in your well-being. And there are things online. There are prepared materials that you can follow online. You just write self-care or educator well-being and you will find many resources online. So you can look for ideas there if you don't have a clear idea of what you like and what you're interested in for your own well-being. But also something that is really important, and I have proven that from my own experiences, don't take work home. And sometimes it's really difficult, and if you're going to do it because you have to, don't do it often. So at the beginning, it's going to be difficult to let go of taking work home, but you need to start that new habit of, if you didn't finish something by the end of your workday, just leave it and to take it over the next day. Do not be tempted to take work home. You need to make sure that you're paying attention and that you are making it a habit of not taking work home and taking away time from your family by bringing your work home. One day a month, or one day every 2 weeks, or one day every trimester. That depends on the person. But at least one day a month, make it all about you. Go out and do something that is all about you. Again, this is recurring. If you notice, we mentioned at the beginning, we mentioned it after the task. Find your community of people, those you can relate with the most, that people that make you strong, that make you feel positive, that make your life a good life. And when you are in need, ask for help. Make sure you keep your friends close, that you have a positive relationship with them, that you, if you get angry at something, that you make sure that you let it go very quickly. You need to be able to get moving and make sure that you are continuously creating this support network that is useful. Train others, like I was telling you before. Make sure that you influence your environment and that everybody around you is practicing self-care. That will make your life positive, and that will allow you to be thankful and to practice kindness. So it is important that you keep these things in mind when you are thinking about self-care. So for this second break room, I want you to make sure that you are relaxed, and you're going to follow these 8 instructions. And this is sort of between meditating and mindfulness. This is to take, and this is going to take us around 5 to 7 minutes. And what I want you to do in your break room is, first, I want you to read these 8 steps. And I want you to do them one by one. And I want you to make sure that when you're doing them, you're focusing on the step that you are doing. So for example, step number one says, sit where you are. So where you are right now, in front of the computer, wherever you are, just sit. That's what you're going to do first. And you sit there for a minute. Then look for an object in the room that catches your attention and focus on that object for 30 seconds. Once you have that focus, I want you to close your eyes and visualize that object that you focused on for the last 30 seconds and watch that object in your mind for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes. Then I want you to breathe in by expanding your belly and breathe out by relaxing your belly. So you breathe in and you expand your belly and then you breathe. This is the right way to breathe. If you breathe the other way around, you're keeping your body in emergency mode. When you breathe by expanding your belly and then breathing out by relaxing your belly, then you are relaxing your body and keeping your body in a calm state. So whenever, and you can do the breathing exercise whenever you feel very stressed, and that's going to help you relax. Then with your eyes closed, I want you to feel your toes and then move up your body. From there, you move up your body. You start feeling your toes, you start feeling your fingernails, then the sole of your foot. Then, so you go up your body until you finish at the top of your head. And then I want you to keep this relaxed position for 2 minutes. And then you breathe out and breathe in and out again the way that I showed you that I told you in step 4. And then I want you to open your eyes and then share with your peers how you felt. So make sure you first read these instructions very carefully and then you start doing them. So this is going to take us around 5 minutes. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do these 8 steps, and then you're going to share how you felt in the next 5 minutes. Okay, so that was interesting and I hope it was really relaxing. This is a good exercise to do whenever you feel too stressed. So you can go over the steps and do them over and over. And if you don't have enough time, you can do the breathing and that is relaxing enough, or you can do the focusing on the object and then visualizing in your mind without looking at it. That also helps. So those are short brain breaks that you can do. Usually when you are alone in your classroom and you need to take 2 or 3 minutes and relax. So what I want you to do now is take the quiz again. Don't look at the answers that you had at the beginning. I want you to take the quiz again, and I'm going to give you the same 2 to 3 minutes. And then I want you to tell me what changed or what remained the same. And we're all going to share and we're all going to have a chance to talk about our feelings and talk about our reflections as we move forward. So I want to thank you for your attention today. I hope you had a great time. I apologize for not being with you in person, but I hope that this recording was useful enough and that is something that you can take back to your peer colleagues, and you can also share with your students and your staff or your administrators in your school. Some thoughts that I want to leave you with before we finish is I nurture myself so I can nurture others. If you saw during the whole presentation, that was the main point. You cannot take care of others if you are not taking care of yourself. And then there are two selves that you have. Yourself one that is easily distracted, that thinks about the past and is very critical and judgy. But then there's yourself two, which is the one you should nurture more, which is the confident one, the one that focuses on the present, the one that is alert, at ease, direct, nonverbal, and relaxed. This is the self two that we need to cultivate. We're usually in self one mode. So we need to step a little bit away of our self one mode that is a result of the society and this fast-paced world in which we live, and move into our self two, which is the one that makes sure that we're taking care of ourselves and that we are very thoughtful about our well-being. So I hope you enjoyed the talk and I hope you learned a lot and that you can share any new practices that you thought of, and I hope you are ready to prepare your own self-care plan. Thank you.